Hi, and thanks for joining our Versant exclusive tips clinic, helpful tips on how to get your best score. Today's clinic will be led by Stuart Connor, our Qualifications and Assessment Director in Asia. Hi, Stuart. Thanks for leading the clinic today. Over to you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Jen. Yeah, so I'm Stu, and in this 5-minute clinic, we're going to focus on how you can achieve your full potential in the Versant test. So I'm going to be giving you 5 tips to help you get your best possible score on test day. So let's get started. Tip 1, speak clearly and at a natural pace. So unlike most other English tests, Versant is really measuring your ability to communicate in English. And communication, of course, is a two-way process. You have input. So for example, someone asks you a question and you have output, your response to that question. So in Versant, what we're really measuring is, are you able to understand what is being said? And are you able to respond clearly and appropriately at a natural pace? So that means that when you speak, the scoring engine is looking for what you say and how you say it. So throughout the test, the golden rule is listen carefully, then speak clearly in your normal accent at a natural pace. Tip 2. Read with meaning. So you want to get off to the best possible start. And the very first section on the Versant speaking test is a reading task. You have to read 8 sentences. That sounds pretty easy, right? Well, yes and no. The key here is to read with meaning, because if you understand the text and if you read the text aloud with meaning, all of the pieces kind of fall into place in terms of pronunciation and intonation and oral fluency. So look for clues in the sentence structure that will help you to catch the natural rhythms and phrasing of English. So let's look at an example. My roommate never cleans the kitchen. Well, I could say that in a very flat way, or I could say it like, my roommate never cleans the kitchen. My roommate never cleans the kitchen. You're right. There's a rise and a fall in English. So try to bring the sentence to life when you read aloud. Now, my pro tip here is practice recording your voice. Find some authentic content, some short sentences, and record yourself reading those sentences aloud. Play it back and ask yourself, was I clear? Was the phrasing natural? Tip 3, repeat with the same intonation. So the repeat task is one that appears in all of the different Versant tests that have a speaking section. But this task is not just testing your speaking skills, it's testing your listening skills as well. So the key here is to listen very carefully, because if it doesn't go in properly, it's not going to come out correctly. You should also be prepared to hear different accents throughout the test. So yes, you will hear American accents, you'll hear British accents, but you're also going to hear Indian accents, Singaporean accents, and a range of other accents as well in English. The key here is you don't need to repeat the accent, but you should try to mimic the intonation or the way the speaker says the sentence. My pro tip again here is to find some authentic audio content with some short sentences and record yourself copying the rhythm and the intonation. Play it back and ask yourself, was I clear? Was the phrasing natural? Okay, tip 4, retell in your own words. Now, the story retell task appears in several different Versant tests. In it, you hear a short story, about 4 or 5 sentences long, and you hear a beep, and then you have 30 seconds to retell the story in your own words. Now, this can be a really challenging task. It's longer than the other sections. There's more information you've got to remember. So how best to prepare for this? Well, the first tip here is You don't need to remember every detail word for word. It's not possible. And anyway, this is not a memory test. What Versant is trying to measure is your ability to get the main points of a story and relay that back clearly using your own vocabulary, using your own grammar. So in story retell, the first thing you should try to do is understand the big picture. What is the story about? Second, what are the key details that give the story structure? Who is involved? When and where did it happen? What was the end result? And identifying those details is going to help you to keep the gist of the story in your working memory. Third point, you only have 30 seconds to cover everything. So be concise, but do use complete sentences. Even if you leave out some of the details, it's important that what you do say makes sense. So my pro tip here, it's a little bit more effort, but it's worth it. Create some short stories, some simple stories, 4, 5, 6 sentences long, no more. Maybe ask a native speaker friend to help you and have them record the stories for you. Then practice retelling the story. Again, record your voice, listen back, and ask yourself, what details did I recall? What details did I miss? And was I clear? Was the phrasing natural? So do practice this one. It will improve your ability to retain key information and, importantly, to reformulate it into meaningful sentences. Okay, last tip. It's a bit of a no-brainer, but practice makes perfect. English is a skill, right? And like any skill, the more you practice it, the better you become. And this is true of English tests too. The more familiar you are with the test, the more likely you are to get your best possible score. So there's loads of materials out there to help you. Check out our Versant website. You'll find an official test taker guide that details the do's and the don'ts for each question. You'll find audio and written samples of what low, mid, and high scoring responses look like and sound like. You'll find that super helpful. And we also have interactive demos where you can play around with different item types. And then when you're ready, you can try out a scored practice test. And if you look down at the code there, you'll find a code on your screen. Don't forget to plug that in at the checkout. That's all from me. Thank you so much for watching and good luck with your Versant test.